We've got some moves to talk about here in the early days of the 2026 offseason. Welcome in to Everything Else. I'm Joshua Brisco. Show's brought to you by KC Cannabis Company. The Chiefs did make a move, one that we spent quite a bit of time speculating about, one that would make a lot of sense if they did go that direction, plus what it means for the rest of that position group. I want to spend the most of today's show, the bulk, the first act at least, talking about the Chiefs wide receivers. That obviously is a little bit complicated right now with we've got squirrels running around this outside window right now. I'm already distracted like a dog around shiny objects and or squirrels. There was so much motion out there, I lost my train of thought. We'll talk about the Chiefs wide receiver room and the reports that they are moving on from wide receivers coach Connor Embry, plus a little bit more of a vibe on the OC side of things as Matt Nagy continues to add up scheduled interviews. We've got a quarter of the league with head coaching openings right now. An interesting place that this sort of whole coaching carousel is in right now. But as I was saying, I want to talk about where the Chiefs wide receivers stand here as we get into the Embry wide receiver room discussion today. But obviously, there's a little bit of a wrinkle in that regarding the allegations pointed towards Rashee Rice. We talked about it a little bit on Only Weird Games yesterday, where Nate Taylor, ESPN reporter and man with the means and the ability to look into details on things like this, he gave a little bit of a rundown over there. I'm just going to mention it at the top because I feel like it would seem foolish to just pretend like nothing happened this week, but also without police reports and without anything more than some very, very brief statements from the Chiefs and the league saying that they're aware of the allegations. Just not a whole lot that I feel good about making a conversation point around right now. So I certainly don't think this will be the last we've heard of those allegations for this year, but I don't plan on spending time on it today. And then we will talk about it when there's more information and when we have further developments. I guess I should say if we have further developments. Certainly aware of it, certainly seen the post, certainly a terrible midweek development in the first days of your offseason, and everything in the post is terrible. But right now, I don't have anything to add to that at this point until we are able to acquire a little bit more info, a few more details there on the front of whatever was going on there in the Rashee Rice situation. I will note that just sort of having the evergreen Rashee Rice situation as a stand-in for some topic or another, not ideal, and so that might have a small impact on how we talk about the wide receivers here just within today's show. But I think even as of Monday, even with no further developments or any further questions about Rashee Rice, I think there are already plenty of questions about him and his future and what he was able to do this year and who ultimately is to blame on one of the more disappointing developments of the 2025 season where the Chiefs fell short. So we'll get into that here in just a moment. Plus, we'll talk a little bit about the first round of the NFL playoffs with Tucker D. Franklin, who will also be bringing us a very important update on something going on in his life. I've watched a lot of movies in the last several days. We'll have plenty of things to chat about here as we're live. We're live on the KCSN YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone who shows up to watch the show. You want to leave your comments throughout the chat, throughout the show. We'll keep an eye on those. And, of course, everybody listening to everything else, wherever you get your podcast, just search your podcatcher for Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. You'll find the show and also the written form, not of the entire show, but a summary of what we talk about every time and some links out to things that we've discussed. That's all available on the Substack at jbbrisco.com. So let's get into the news of this week. The Chiefs have reportedly moved on from wide receivers coach Connor Embry. And Matt Nagy, again, right now, we've had the reports that he is essentially a free agent. Something else that Nate kind of laid out there for us yesterday. He's a free agent. He's exploring other opportunities. There's nothing official and certainly nothing confirmed by the team on that front. But it seems like Matt Nagy you probably can consider that he has moved on to his next thing, whatever that is. Like, there's certainly a chance of a curveball there, but that's the direction the wind seems to be blowing with Matt Nagy. With Connor Embry, the reports were that the Chiefs and Embry have parted ways. I think that's fascinating on some back-looking issues and some forward-looking ones. On the look back at 2025 and 2024 in particular, this year, there are probably other candidates, and the running backs might be the other candidate here. No news on Todd Pinkston, the running backs coach, as things stand right now. But Ian Rappaport said that there could be more moves on the staff. We'll see where those settle in. As Nate said on Weird Games yesterday, don't expect that to be Dave Tobe. That got quite a pop in the comments section. I have never really considered Dave Tobe's job to be particularly in danger. That's not a opinion. That's just he's the assistant head coach, and he's been there for a long time in that role. And I think it would probably it stood to reason for me that he'd be back next year. It seemed like Nagy was the one of the coordinators most likely to move on to something else. But all that to say, wherever the other moves end up coming, if there are other moves, I wouldn't have been able to make a case for you as to what Connor Embry has done. From the outside looking in, what Connor Embry had done to say, I should be the coach of this wide receiver room again next year. I'm not sure what that argument would have been. You had a good back half of the rookie year for Rashee Rice. You had a better back half of the rookie year for Xavier Worthy. And then the guys who came in and were able to contribute, I know the DeAndre Hopkins thing didn't end the way we wanted it to, but DeAndre Hopkins is like a, fringe Hall of Famer, I think, at this point. Obviously fully formed when he arrives in Kansas City. Juju Smith-Schuster comes back for his second act in Kansas City. Hollywood Brown on his third team, well into his veteran NFL career. I'm not holding Jalen Royals to the Connor Embry files. I don't think that Royals was going to have a very easy time getting through that depth chart. Tyquan Thornton ends up making some really nice steps, and the Chiefs just kind of forget about using him after Xavier Worthy returned. But I do think the biggest question mark, and perhaps the biggest disappointment of last season, again, removed from anything in the last few days, I think it might have been Rashee Rice. And it's not that he was even less than the best wide receiver on this team. He was the best wide receiver on this team. But you start the season with the suspension due to your own actions, and obviously he ends the season injured, and even with those absences not being held against him, even just in what he did in those 8 games, he was productive. 53 catches for 571, 5 touchdowns in 8 games. That's not a bad stat line. But so much of our offseason conversation was about this metaphor of Travis Kelce sprinting along one more time to hand the baton to Rashee Rice, and can Rashee Rice take that at full speed and be the next center of this Chiefs offense? And that obviously didn't happen this year. We didn't get real growth from him, and I don't think we saw growth from Xavier Worthy. The other thing that's concerning, now looking ahead to next year when these guys will have a new coach leading their position group, I'm going to include Travis Kelce for this stat. Do you know how many players from the Chiefs' top 6 receivers by yardage, how many of them are under contract for next year right now? These are Chiefs' leading receivers by yardage: Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Tyquan Thornton, Juju Smith-Schuster. 2 of the Chiefs' top 6 receivers by yardage are under contract for next year. And those are, of course, both the guys on the rookie deals: Rashee Rice, holding pattern, and Xavier Worthy, who I think, I've said this already a couple times, I think I might be holding more optimism. I might be holding my Rashee Rice stock more than a lot of other people in the Chiefs space right now. I'm not buying more stock than I was already holding, But I do want to see what he looks like with a different coach leading that room. And with this year of tape available for the Chiefs to reevaluate, I know we were talking about this mid-season and before the season, so it's a little bit frustrating. But letting Xavier Worthy, letting his role look more like what Hollywood Brown's role was for big chunks of this season, I think is my plan A. I don't think it makes sense to have Xavier Worthy living his life as the outside, downfield, deep threat, deep shot guy when Tyquan Thornton was actually better at that this year than Xavier Worthy was. I think Xavier Worthy could be better than Hollywood Brown was in that deep intermediate role where he's doing some more things over the middle of the field, even deep middle of the field. But when you rely so much on veterans, if not super veterans, like Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, and Juju, Tyquan Thornton is more experienced than the rookie contract guys, I suppose. But when you look at how that pass-catching group came together this year, I think it's very easy to understand why the Chiefs would say, yeah, no, we're going to go ahead and move away from the coach who's been in charge of this room now for 3 years. And where the development just never arrived. Or at least not enough development for the guys you expected more from. It's very, very hard from the outside, at least to me, it's very, very hard to confidently project, like, I know who's at fault here. I know this is a teaching problem or a development problem, because I don't. Maybe Connor Embry is a wide receiver coaching genius, and he had bad pupils. I don't think the Chiefs probably move on from him and keep the wide receiver room together these last couple of years if they thought that was the case. We don't really know. And I don't know if a new wide receivers coach is going to make Xavier Worthy, heck, Hollywood Brown. Just in terms, like, Hollywood's built a nice NFL career for himself. I don't know if that would have been something you were happy with when the Chiefs drafted Xavier Worthy. But you need to find weapons in this offense who are going to be around who aren't going to cost you more draft capital and free agency money. And the Chiefs need to keep adding to this wide receiver room. Again, regardless of where things land with Rashee Rice. It's hard for me to look at that group and feel any sort of confidence. And I think it makes all the sense in the world that the Chiefs would be at a point now they say, we're going to go ahead and change the voice in that room, and still they're going to have to change the talent in that room. The other thing that's just interesting, on the Matt Nagy front, we're at a point now, I can't remember if Cliff Kingsbury was even on the open market as of Monday's show. I'm not sure that he was. This week has been both very slow and kind of fast. That's the whole offseason, I guess. The news that comes is like jarring, and then you'll just go 5 or 6 days with nothing. Hopefully we'll just be able to sort that out for podcasting purposes. I'm speculating and guessing and just kind of reading tea leaves here. I don't think I have any more info than anybody else right now on this front, but just kind of putting the pieces together. Where I stand right now on the Chiefs offensive coordinator position is that it seems like there are 3 real candidates, and even then, some of the tea leaves that Nate's put out on Weird Games makes it seem like maybe it's not even that many. But the 3 names that you obviously need to be thinking about right now are Eric Bieniemy, Mike Kafka, and Cliff Kingsbury. There are other names that are interesting. Mike McDaniel is now available because the Dolphins fired him when they got a hold of John Harbaugh's phone number. Allegedly. That's a guess. That's a joke. I'm guessing it's true. Mike McDaniel, I think, is probably the best offensive mind currently not employed in the NFL right now. I would be delighted for him to be the next offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't think he's going to be. I don't blame him for that. I don't think that it doesn't seem likely to add up. Because McDaniel, I think, has a legitimate head coaching argument to be made right now. And if you want a Ooh, Kingsbury fired Tuesday. Thank you, Tucker. We could have put Cliff Kingsbury's handsome face on the graphic today. That was my fault. I should have said blow up Cliff Kingsbury's face and just put a question mark right between his eyes, and that's a thumbnail right there. Handsome man in a beautiful home, I assume. I'm guessing his place in the DC area was not quite as nice as the home base in Arizona, but I don't know if he has good interior design choice or if he has good taste in interior designers, but he had money and somewhere to put it. God bless him. If he wants to move in next door, I'll make some phone calls. But I don't remember what I was talking about before getting distracted of Cliff Kingsbury's house and handsomeness. But there are Mike McDaniel. So I think he has a great argument for another head coaching job. I assume that Kevin Stefanski is going to get a head coaching job, and I think he should, frankly. Either there was a chance Stefanski might just get one this week. So with those aside, and look, hey, maybe Kingsbury's trying to get back in the head coaching cycle. I know that it's weird because he was just sort of let go as an OC, but some of the reports out of Washington was that wasn't really what Dan Quinn wanted for either of the coordinators. There was some ownership stuff or GM stuff. I don't know. That's not my team and above my pay grade. But if you really are in a space where three coaches seem to be in the front batch, I've been intrigued by KC native Nathan Shieldhouse for a little while now. I think finding Matty Lane is updated his tier list a few times out on socials. I think there are plenty of other names to connect that would be interesting, maybe even exciting. But the big three we're talking about, Kingsbury, Bieniemy, and Kafka, I think all have different arguments and different paths to come back to the Chiefs. Kafka left, got some outside experience in a Brian Daboll offense in New York, was the interim the rest of the way, and we haven't heard anything about him to this point. I don't think we've heard anything about him getting interviews anywhere. So I don't know where things stand there. But from what I remember hearing that he had a good relationship with Mahomes and a good relationship with the Chiefs. That was before he left, obviously. So I don't have anything new on that front. It sounds like nobody does, which is kind of strange. And Kingsbury would be a Mahomes call, right? I mean, not let me just be exceedingly clear on this because it seems like there are some people who might not be as clear on this. I do not think Patrick Mahomes is going into Clark Hunt's office and using his good knee to kick down the door and say, "Bring me Cliff Kingsbury or I quit." I have no reason to believe that's the vibe. But I do think it's an interesting time for Mahomes if he says, "Hey man," I think this is a conversation with Andy Reid. I really can't imagine that we are one lost season away from total chaos at Arrowhead. It's such a notoriously stable foundation there at this point. I think these are conversations to be had amongst the decision makers, to be had amongst us. But if Mahomes went to Andy Reid and said, "Hey, look, I love Eric Bieniemy, I love Mike Kafka, but I've got a huge amount of respect for Cliff Kingsbury. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes is coach in college, and one of the guys he credits as truly believing in him as a quarterback first and most. And it helped Kingsbury get an NFL head coaching job, and it's been good for both of them. Because he was right about Patrick Mahomes, and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. But if Mahomes goes to Andy and says, "Hey, look, I think Cliff Kingsbury is what we need. I think there's going to be some new stuff in here that might freshen up the offense a little bit. I think he's the right kind of attitude of a coach to bring in here. Maybe he'll bring some of his own positional coaches that I would vouch for, I being Patrick Mahomes in this scenario and no others. I think this is the guy." I think that's a pretty good argument if that is one that Mahomes is making to Andy Reid right now. I could also see that going any number of ways. If it ends up being Kafka or Bieniemy, or I guess somebody else, I don't think that means that Pat went pounding the table and was rebuked. But if it is Kingsbury, it's going to be because Mahomes made that case strongly and made it well, I think, to Reid and Veach and Clark Hunt and whoever came together to make that decision. It is a big decision. And they're like invoking ownership in a way that I don't think you're always doing that for coordinator positions. The other thing is that it is Andy Reid's offense. It was Andy Reid's offense yesterday. It'll be Andy Reid's offense tomorrow. They can hire me as the offensive coordinator or Mike McDaniel as the offensive coordinator, and it's going to be Andy Reid's offense as long as Andy Reid is there. I don't imagine him having any interest in giving up play calling, and it's his offense. He talks about having 51% of the vote. I think that is intentional on a number of levels. It's intentional because he's the man in charge, and he's happy for you to know that. It's also important for you to know that because when you start pointing fingers, Andy Reid says, starts with me. I'm the guy, it starts with me. And I think that's true more often than it's not. So, whatever the OC hire ends up being, and assuming it's not a Nagy return, whoever the hire ends up being, it is going to be about that relationship with Reid and Mahomes more than anything else. And I am not in Mike Florio territory here, folks. Okay, just give me a second. We're not calling anything early. But Andy Reid is probably not going to coach for another decade, right? I can't remember. I think Nate said he's got 3 years left on this contract. Like 3 seasons, including 2026, 7, 8, I believe. So I keep that in mind. Tucker, don't do the hand thing. I just can't count anymore. I can't count anymore without getting seal flippers. I just don't get it. I don't understand why numbers are so funny. Unlike me, look, it's 6'7". It's not 69 or 420. I don't get why it's so funny. Anyway. That's one of the reasons this does matter, though, on a lot of levels. I don't know if they're talking about succession plans at Arrowhead. That might be a couple of steps too far down the line, and things change so much every season in the NFL that you could hire Cliff Kingsbury and say, hey, you do this for 3 years, and then you're in line to coach Patrick Mahomes as the next head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. And maybe the offense blows up in a positive way next year, and Cliff Kingsbury goes to coach the Bills after another postseason loss. You can't guarantee anything like that, but it is something that I've had in the back of my mind in terms of what the short-term and long-term future looks like for some of these guys. That's the Kingsbury thought. The Kafka thought is that it makes a lot of sense, but again, it's been weirdly quiet. Here's the one thing with Eric Bieniemy, and I said this over on 96.5 this morning. I kind of workshopping this here. There's a little bit of like an on-again, off-again relationship, a little ex-girlfriend thing going on with Eric Bieniemy and Chiefs fans that's kind of weird to watch. Because I'm old enough to remember when Eric Bieniemy was the reason the offense was broken, and old enough to remember that Eric Bieniemy was the thing saving the offense, and then old enough to remember that Eric Bieniemy was moved on to his next opportunities, and then now he would come in and fix the offense again. This circles back around to the fact that it's Andy Reid's offense and Andy Reid's team. Eric Bieniemy got too much blame when people wanted to blame somebody who was a moving part. Now I think there is a overreaction in terms of like, oh man, remember how perfect everything was when Eric Bieniemy was here? If he is the hire, I won't be beside myself. I don't think it's a disaster. I think he would improve the running backs, improve the running game, and the whole like attitude accountability thing. Seems like Mahomes and certainly Travis Kelce, he talks about him still. It seems like the players like having that around. I think Eric Bieniemy has value on your coaching staff. And if that says the OC again, that's fine. My question isn't for Eric Bieniemy. It's for the Chiefs fans who have been here for the last 6-7 years. Go ahead, Tucker, do it again. But if I do feel like I've gone a little bit crazy specifically on that front. I'm just like, but wait a second. Do you have tweets still on your account where you were saying that as soon as the Chiefs can move on from Eric Bieniemy, that's the thing they absolutely must do? Is 1 year with Ben Johnson changing who he is as an offensive coordinator? Is he coordinating what does coordinating Andy Reid's offense mean? Again, I'm kind of at a point where I think I'm not going to be bent out of shape for anybody. I don't, unless it's like, I guess if like, but guess what? Brad Childress is back. I'd be like, really? That's confusing. I don't think I'm going to be torn up about anybody. I think there are some guys who would be more inspired choices, more interesting choices even than others, and it's hard for a reunion to be the most interesting thing, and interesting doesn't mean best. But I have found the Eric Bieniemy life cycle and the cycle of... I feel like I defended Eric Bieniemy for a very long time against a horde of people who wanted to blame Eric Bieniemy for everything, or anything, really. And then now I've gone full circle. It's like, I just remember the venom. I remember the way that people talked about this offense and what they needed to tweak. I don't think Matt Nagy is the boogeyman either. I never have. It's Andy Reid's offense. I think who he decides to include in the next evolution of the offense, that's where the offensive coordinator job matters. Who does he want to help refresh this thing? But if it's Cliff Kingsbury or Eric Bieniemy or Mike Kafka or you, me, or Mike McDaniel, if the offense is vastly improved next year, most of the credit for that should probably go to Andy Reid. And if the offense is worse next year, most of the blame should probably go to Andy Reid. It is an important position for a variety of reasons I've already mentioned. But we know the guy who owns the offense. Very curious to see who he picks. And then the next guy up, of course, is Patrick Mahomes. Very curious to see who he signs off on. But I think we have reason to believe that he has good relationships with Kafka, Bieniemy, and Kingsbury. Unless something wild that I don't know about. I'm going to let Tucker bring up this point that he brought up here in our private chat. So Tucker, go ahead and put that in the chamber for the other side of the break. I'm going to tell you about a few of our sponsors today. A couple of our sponsors today. Two delightful ones that you may have heard from before. But I want to hear your side on that, because I do think that's kind of a fun angle. So we'll get that from Tucker here in just a moment. But first, this is your last chance to get involved with the mystery snail before January ends. Wait, Josh, it's early January. Yeah, well, if you want the mystery snail to visit you this month of January 2026, you need to make that known to the mystery snail today or tomorrow. Your last day to get the January Mystery Snail Mail Art Club sign-up deadline is Saturday to begin your subscription this month. Josh, what's the Mystery Snail Club? You're being very weird and vague about this. Thank you for asking. The Mystery Snail Mail Art Club is a once-a-month mystery gift shipment to your home, or wherever, I guess. It's in the mail. It's in the snail mail. It's featuring completely locally made, human-made art from right here in Kansas City. Actually, just one floor down from me, in fact. So once a month, you get one of these packages in the mail that could contain stickers, prints, or even specialty items like bookmarks, garlands, notebooks, or paper crafts. You can get stickers. I've got a sticker right here. I've got a couple in my office right now. Look at this. This is actually the original of that one's right back there, but they're wearing Santa hats in this one. They're wearing party hats in the OG back there. You can get all of those in your shipments every single month. So for just $5, the pricing on this feels incredible to you, and maybe like not enough to me. For $5 a month at level 1 or $10 a month at level 2, you can pay for the subscription in monthly increments, or if you want to sign up for a whole year subscription all at once, you get 2 months for free. So that's $50 for a full year of level 1 and $100 for a full year of level 2. That is an incredible deal. I can say that with confidence because I have seen what's going into these envelopes, and in your very first envelope, you get a special sticker of Sir Arthur Conan Coyle, the mystery snail. And when you are purchasing a membership or anything on the website, you can you get bit.ly/mystery snails, how you go straight to the club page. When you're purchasing anything on the website, put everything else in the how did you hear about me section, and you get a free one of these little guys. That's the possum that's in the loading screen for us every single show. It's got my microphone. I love this little everything else possum. I love him so much. It's only unknown if this is a spirit animal of mine. The details are still fuzzy. You can write your own headcanon for that, because you'll have your own of these stickers if you put everything else in the How You Heard About Me section, and you get one of them. So that goes for any order on the website, the club, or any of the other art available at renaissance.art. You can do that, again, there's links in the Substack, jbbrisco.com, or go to renaissance.art/club for more information. That's RENEEISSANCE.art/club. But because I think that the URL there is a excellent pun and hard to spell, you can go to bit.ly/mystery snail, and that will get you there as well. The other people I'll tell you about are our dear friends over at Kansas City Cannabis. You can visit them online at kccannabis.com. Of course, it's for adult use, only 21 and over. You know that by now. You also know by now that Kansas City Cannabis is named properly. They are in Kansas City, for Kansas City, by Kansas Cityans. They're locally owned and community rooted with 5 KC area locations. That's KC North, Blue Springs, Kearney, Excelsior, and Lottawanna. Plus, they've got the bud tenders to make the experience absolutely easy for you. You want to go in and say, hey, I don't know where to begin. I've just heard all this talk about Kansas City Cannabis. Bud tenders, tell me what I need to know. They can give you an entire little crash course education there, or maybe you know exactly what you want. You can even make your order online and then pick it up. Hit the drive-through even. It's really an incredible company that is based here, and the bud tender's there for you. If you're a newbie, you're a veteran, as long as you're 21 or over, no better place to go than KC Cannabis and kccannabis.com.
Looking for premium products in Kansas City? Whether you're new to the world of dispensaries or a seasoned enthusiast, we've got just what you're looking for. Proudly Kansas City owned and operated, with 5 convenient locations in Kearney, Blue Springs, Excelsior Springs, KC North, and Lake Lottawanna. And our knowledgeable team can help educate and guide you so you can feel confident in every choice you make. Come see for yourself what makes us the most trusted name in Kansas City.
I can't believe it's 12:40. I don't know. Sometimes I start talking and go, man, I don't know how we're going to get all the way to like 12:15 here. I don't want to talk about the wide receivers for that long. And then I look up and it's like, oh, we've got a little show left. So what better time to bring in the one and only Tucker D. Franklin. Tucker, how you doing here on a Friday eve of the NFL playoffs?
I'm doing good. I'm doing pretty all right. I'm excited to watch some playoff football with no stakes, but I do think that we are going to miss seeing Patrick Mahomes. Trinidad, a phenomenal college football game last night, by the way.
Yes.
Great college football game. Trinidad Chambliss was just denied his waiver for a year of eligibility from the NCAA. So
that just happened?
Just happened, yeah. They just said, yeah, you can't play anymore.
Wow.
Which, you probably shouldn't be able to play.
I think he should be a top 8 pick in this year's NFL draft, personally. That's my opinion.
Yeah. There's a lot of things.
I think he's a Raider, frankly. I think he should go 1-1.
He's pretty fun to watch, truthfully. He was a fun watch last night.
I think 7 or 8 quarterbacks could honestly go in the top 10.
Maybe 6 or 7.
God dang it.
No, I mean, I'm good. I'm chilling. It's cold now.
Yeah, chilled up a little bit.
Basement's cold. But yeah, the Chiefs have made me cold.
The Chiefs are cold. That's understandable. I like what you threw this out in the private chat here, saying that somebody in the comment section of that football show with you and Matt Verderam said Eric Bieniemy is the Chiefs' Josh McDaniels. I think I know what you mean by that, but why did that hit you? I kind of like that.
I thought it was interesting because there hasn't been a lot with Josh McDaniels right now. He's the offensive coordinator for the Patriots right now, right? And there was always a Josh McDaniels is the reason that Tom Brady in this offense is doing good type of deal, and Josh Daniels is always like the next head coach. Now, I don't think that's like the Eric Bieniemy type aspect of it, but the fact that Josh McDaniels would go somewhere else and then always come back to
Yes.
Kansas City, or he'd always come back to New England. That is the same type of vein and vibe that it feels like with Eric Bieniemy. Is that okay? He went out elsewhere, and then he's just gonna come right back to Kansas City. It's very Belichickian when it comes down to it. I'm trying to find. I'm scrolling through the comments here on that football show to try.
I'll go ahead and answer this one while you're scrolling there, because Stuart just said, "Hey Joshua, is Nick okay? He must be pretty down bad after the loss to the Raiders." It's such a fair question. He is okay, and he did get through. He was sick on that Sunday too. He did survive the Raiders loss, but he was not. I'll tell you what. Wasn't excited about the draft positioning. Would have much preferred Daniel Carlson missed that last kick. I can't blame him.
Interesting. At Jim Beam 1901 is who commented that Bieniemy is just our Josh McDaniels, and I said, "Huh, kind of."
It's interesting the boomerang nature of it, and also obviously the difference with New England was that McDaniels was there for now 2 different defensive head coaches, right?
Sure,
and so it's been his offense there. But I think figuring out like where you are best used. I don't want to say where your ceiling is necessarily, because like I still think that Eric Bieniemy probably wants to be a head coach sometime. But I think that's kind of an interesting one.
I think so too. It's going to be really interesting with all the coordinator stuff. Matt and I get into a lot of the nuance when it comes to the coordinator stuff. That's so hard to I think properly talk about.
Yeah.
On Twitter specifically, because trying to fit all that nuance into 280 characters is
impossible.
Yes. So I think we have a good conversation. I'm biased because I was a part of the conversation, right? But I think it's a good conversation about the nuance that's in how the coordinator is, how what we want for a coordinator and fans want for a coordinator is going to be completely different than probably what the team is looking for and what the team will probably do. I forgot we power ranked in it too, and I have a power ranking graphic that's going to go out as well. So yeah, it's the offseason, so we're bringing back the bits.
I knew the bits were coming back, but I have not yet listened to today's show. I didn't know what the power rankings were going to be. Oh, yeah, wow.
I got it. I forgot about that. I'm going to have to post that before I feed Chungus and get his the Chungus files ready to go. But yeah, no, I forgot about that. That's exciting.
The season ended and you're finally busy again. You're finally making the content that matters. It is time for power rankings and the Chungus files.
Right, exactly. That's what I was just waiting for the bulk of the other content that I was doing to be done before I started doing more content.
I think this is look, football season, that's when you make content. The off season, that's when you make your art. And that's the Chungus files and the power rankings. Great call, yes. Let's just do this briefly here. We'll take a timeout and then we'll come back and talk about the Chungus files. Mm-hmm. Where are you at in the bracket? Again, you want more Tucker's thoughts? You go to that football show. I'm sure you and Verderam talked much more about this weekend in the NFL than we're going to here. But I've been asked enough this week, like, so who do you like? And people keep saying, so who do you like out of the AFC? And you know what keeps coming out of my mouth? The words that keep falling out of my mouth against my will. I go, I don't know. I kind of like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Funny.
I can't. Look, man, you get hot at the right time. You have the quarterback finally out here proving it. It's either them or the similarly inexperienced Patriots. My hot take, I guess, is that first of all, I don't feel strongly about any of the AFC games. Frankly, Panthers-Rams is the only game that's even a steep betting line, and the Panthers beat the Rams a month ago. So I do think that the Rams there are worthy favorites, but the rest of these games are almost all coin flips. I think my hedged bet here is that if you said I'll take the winner of Jags-Bills in the AFC, that's my take. Either the Bills survive the Jags and then they finally get to make their run, or the Jags put them in the dirt and it's all Duval from here. That's where I'm at in the AFC, I think.
I'm with you. I think Matt and I made our Super Bowl predictions on Monday's show. We didn't do it on this show. On Monday's show, this was as the bracket came out, we're like, okay, what do you think as this bracket stands? I picked Jacksonville over Seattle. And I think that's the weirdest
I love
Super
it
Bowl.
So much.
Trevor Lawrence for Sam Darnold.
I love it.
But I think that Jacksonville, for all the points you said, I think Jacksonville getting hot at the right moment means something.
Has to, right?
There's an argument to be made, like, did they already play their best football, right? They went 7 straight games, 8 straight games, heading into this playoffs, and, like, that's a lot of, like, that's running the table. You are running a table at that point, and there's an argument to be had that they've already hit their peak. But, man, I know they played the Titans, but they looked pretty darn good against the Tennessee Titans. They look like a pretty darn good, well-oiled machine. I don't know, man. Also, here's the thing. Styles make fights, and the Jags are built for beating a team like the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have been spending so much time building their team to beat a team like the Kansas City Chiefs, and beating a team like the New England Patriots, I guess now is kind of how they're going to be shifting their gears to kind of build their team. That's not how the Jags are built. Yeah. The Jags can run the football. The Bills cannot stop the run. And there's not one guy on the Jags offense that you can hone into. It's not like take away Britton Strange and their offense is dead, right?
Right.
It's not take away Jacoby Myers and the offense is dead. Like, right. Let's say for the Patriots example, right? Like, or the Chiefs example, you take away Travis Kelce, the offense has got to figure out some other options, right? You take away Stephon Diggs, and the Patriots got to find some other options. That's not how the Jags offense operates. And they've got a really good running back in Travis Etienne, and they can run the football really well. The Bills' defense is probably the worst it's been in the last 3 to 4 years. It's a tough matchup for Buffalo, and I've already seen people. Matt and I talked about this a little bit too. People are already moving the goalposts for Josh Allen. That like, well, their defense is bad, so if he loses this game, then it's not his fault because the run defense is bad. And Mina Kimes and Ben Solak have been carrying a whole lot of water in this part of things. But look. He doesn't have Joe Burrow to go through. He doesn't have Lamar Jackson to go through. He doesn't have Patrick Mahomes to go through. If he loses to the Jacksonville Jaguars, pack it up. I don't want to hear any more discussions about him being as good as Patrick Mahomes.
Something else just dawned on me that I've thought about a couple of times, but the Jags are also doing this without Travis Hunter. They moved up and took him at 2 to play 2 positions, to play both sides of the football, and they are here without him. I'm with you on the Josh Allen thing, man. I don't want to do QB wins forever, but I can't pretend like Josh Allen doesn't have at least good enough surrounding circumstances here for it to end up being largely about Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I think, and maybe that's part of it where I'm looking at that game thinking that, like, whoever ends up, someone's going to prove something in that game. Either the Bills are going to prove, like, all right, we're here to make this run, and we're going to spend the next week talking about, okay, it's finally Buffalo's time. Mm-hmm. But the other thing I've seen people asking, just even like Chiefs fans, like, who are you rooting for here now? Obviously the Broncos are public enemy number 1.
Sure.
I don't hate the Chargers in that same way, but they're a division team, and I'm guessing the Patriots
they'll take care of themselves. Yeah,
I think that's right. Mm-hmm. But I think if the Bills beat the Jags, I might get myself to a point of rooting for the Buffalo fan base to get a little bit of a reprieve from their lifetime of suffering. But I think I'm gonna be rooting against them. On are they a Sunday game? They're a Saturday game. No, they are Sunday. My bad.
Sunday at noon. And
Sunday noon. Yeah, you're right.
Verder and I talked about that. We wonder if the noon is because of the overseas fan base that they have, because that is prime time for England.
Interesting. Yeah, that's as reasonable an opinion as any. But I think at the time, I think I'm going to be rooting for the first round exit. I don't feel great about that because I do feel for the Buffalo fan base, but I also kind of don't really want to go into an offseason of like, oh, Josh Allen, this league belongs to Josh Allen now. Yeah, this league runs through Buffalo now. If they make the run, then so be it. I was gonna ask you a snarky Broncos question. I can't remember how I was gonna frame it now. Oh, I do. Last question going into, so you punched the ticket of Jags Seahawks as your call right now?
Yeah, that's what I've done as the playoffs when the bracket came out. That's what I said. Yeah.
I'm gonna call Jags Rams and just have a weird Trevor Lawrence, Matt Stafford Super Bowl, just a couple of gunslingers out there. I guess that's I'll tell you what that is. I'm not putting real American currency on that, but that's just a vibe. Here's my snarky question. I know that the Broncos couldn't play the Patriots or Jags because they would take the lower seed in those games. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone you would not pick to beat the Broncos in the second round? If we get Chargers, Broncos in Denver, if we get Bills, Broncos in Denver, Steelers or Texans, I think I'm going to pick against the Broncos in any of those games.
Yeah, maybe not the Steelers.
If they beat the Texans and you see their pass rush, that you see the quick passing game got through the Texans pass rush, I think the Broncos would be favored against, I think, all of those teams. I think I would pick against them regardless.
Yeah, I think they would be too.
I'm also a hater.
Yeah, this is what people don't understand. The Broncos offense routinely gets booed off the field in their home field, and they're
while clinching the 1 seed.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing that like people are like, oh, you're just you don't get it with Bo Nix. Bo Nix is getting actively booed off the field at his own home.
Yes,
because he cannot score points against a Chargers team who is not playing their starters. I don't need to get any more trouble about talking about Bo Nix because I'm Charlie Brown memeing it right now where he's looking out the window because time will tell. Time will tell that I am right about Bo Nix. I'm confident in that. People keep responding to it and be like, where's it? Post the apology. Post the apology. I'm not posting an apology because time will tell. I'm right. And I might actually have to go on to my comment section and just like comment the Charlie Brown like looking out the window with the snowing and pin that, Maybe that's the pinned comment on there instead of like
if he melts down in the first round against the Steelers or Texans or Bills or Chargers and the Broncos take that first round exit, I just want you to I just will be there to repost that reel as many times as necessary. I think you'll be proven correctly. Okay, last thing before the Chungus files.
Okay, yeah.
Because I did see D-Fizz said, Panthers, Steelers, let's go. What's the funniest Super Bowl? What if you just purely you get to pick? This is Tucker Franklin's Super Bowl.
Yeah.
From a silliness perspective, I think Panthers, Steelers is very hard to beat.
Man, I think Panthers, Jags would be comical. I know that like Jags is like a football team, but like just the two teams. The two franchises of Panthers and Jags being in there would be just like Polar Bear and Arlington type levels.
I think with that in mind, and I kind of like the Rams. I'm kind of, and that might just be a little Jordan Foot bias, but I like McVay and watching Stafford. It's a fun team. I haven't been on social media for a couple of months, but I've always loved Puka Nacua on and off the field. I can't imagine that ever changing. I've always assumed he has great opinions about the reality of concussions. I have not been on social media for months. But I think my pick might actually be Jags Bears. I know this. I know I'm bringing hostile territory. I'm in hostile territory here, but I really do want Caleb Williams to be good, and I think Ben Johnson is good, and that would be such a bonkers Super Bowl that I'd be kind of here for. I mean, it'd be their first time in the Super Bowl since getting there with Rex Grossman. So, like, there's something about that would be kind of delightful.
I wouldn't hate the Bears. I don't hate Caleb Williams. I thought Ben Johnson was a gimmick guy. I just thought all of his like trick plays, I was like, that's too gimmicky. It's not really going to work. But it has. And here's the thing about the Bears, though. The Bears and the Broncos are so similar teams. Like, they're just like, I don't think that they're good, but they keep winning football games type of deal, like 2023 Chiefs type levels. Like, we never thought that, like, these guys were good, but they just kept winning games. I just was on DraftKings Sportsbook to, like, look around to see what I could do if I could place a Jacksonville over Seattle bet, like, just in case. Like, a little fiver on it, just to see if I could get generational wealth. You can actually bet on playoff prop stats. So for the entire 2025-2026 playoffs, you can do Bo Nix passing yards, Bryce Young passing yards, like for the entire playoffs. 400 plus is for Bo Nix, and there's no opportunity for me to take the under.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, I would like to. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, I'd like to get involved in that because if he goes one and done, he's not throwing more than 400 yards. So
he's not. But I really feel good about that. I'm trying to. Oh, there's hypothetical matchups. Okay, here we go. Oh, maybe that's not really what I want.
How about this, Tucker? How about while you scroll through DraftKings and look for what your bet of choice would be? Is there anybody else who could tell us anything else about DraftKings Sportsbook? Oh, call Benny Heiss.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, what's happening, people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And while the Chiefs may not be in the playoffs, that doesn't mean there is not plenty of action to go around for the rest of you that are still crazy fans of the National Football League. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, it makes every playoff moment feel bigger. So whether you're looking at individual matchups in the wild card, or for a possible Super Bowl matchup, or for futures come postseason time, DraftKings has your back, and they also have your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop goes down at any point in the first half, guess what? You can still get paid in cash. What an opportunity. What a way to be able to enjoy the playoffs and not worry about anybody that you include in those props going down, especially early on, and ruining the rest of all of your legs. So here's what you do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code KCSN, that is code KCSN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. You must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
It's time for the people are truly here for, Tucker. It's time to tell the people about Chungus. You might have to do a little bit of work here, because I don't know if everybody is locked into you on social media, although obviously it should be. It's the only good part of social media at this point. And now Tucker sometimes just texts his updates, so I get to sidestep that. But tell us about what's going on with Chungus.
Yeah, Chungus is my sourdough starter. I started on January the 4th. I don't know what day that was. Sunday. Might have been Sunday. January the 4th is when I started that. Sourdough, the starter, named him Chungus, so we just refer to him as Chungus now. He's on.
That was Sunday. It was the end of the Chiefs season. Was the same day you created Chungus.
No, that's a good call. I forgot about that part of it. That seems so long ago.
This is last Friday, a week ago today. We were previewing Chiefs Raiders a week ago today.
That's bizarre. That's seem impossible. Right to me. Yeah. No. Wow. Huh. Okay. How about that? But I made Chungus that day because I knew that the Chiefs season was going to be over and I needed something else to occupy my time. And I had seen a couple of videos on TikTok about sourdough starters, and I thought, this is easy. I can do this. And I started the starter. We're on day 6 now. We've gotten some Chungus movement, on Chungus. He's really growing. He's really developing. He's looking pretty good. We haven't hit the doubling yet. We haven't had a double. We've done a few discards just to keep it at the right acidity level. I know there's been a lot of people, and I really do appreciate all the people offering their advice. A lot of cautions when doing sourdough starters, like, hey, make sure to watch out for this, because people do care about sourdough. People very much have their opinions, have their thoughts, have their philosophies on sourdough, and I really do appreciate that. I really appreciate everyone loving to talk about it, because I do like to talk about it. It's a very interesting process because it's literally just flour and water, and somehow you make this tangy surprise that you just use in all these bread loaves. It's just like so crazy. Shout out to Tangy Surprises, man. And
it just turn a phrase.
Yeah, I think they're gonna hit that. That'll hit the mainstream here soon.
Yeah,
Tangy Surprise. It'd be on t-shirt.
Actually, I like him in the 6th this year, the 6th round of the draft. I think if the Chiefs could grab Tangy Surprise, he's the lanky corner out of South Alabama. You get a little Tangy Surprise.
Go Jags.
Is that right? Wow, what a pull.
Yeah. Go Jags. South Alabama Jaguars.
I was thinking they're like the Panthers or something. Great. Yeah, great work by you.
A lot of people have for lack of a better term, their autism is for like science and like math, My autism is knowing nearly every college mascot, like just being able to recall like the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks. It's just like knowing that.
That was also an incredible pull, because I went, Stephen, I don't know. Lumberjacks, what?
Yeah. Tarleton State Texans. Like, there's all kinds of stuff that, like, I just know up here, and I don't love that I know. But I do know
there,
that.
man. You can't always decide what gets stuck in there. You got a wrinkly brain, and stuff gets stuck in the fold sometimes. And for you, it's the entire college football mascot landscape.
It's probably because I played a way too much, like, NCAA football when I was a kid, and then also I played, like, remember the college basketball game?
Oh, yeah.
I played that a lot, and that game has a lot more schools than what the college football game does. But, yeah, I played a lot of that, and now sourdough is in my brain. Missouri
That's
S&Ts,
what set the hooks.
Yeah, Missouri S&T is the Miners.
They're the Miners. Knew that. Do you know the head coach of South Alabama? It's a name you know for sure, but I didn't know he was the head coach of.
He's fairly new there, right? Because they just lost their. I think they lost their head coach maybe a couple years ago, so he's probably been there a couple years.
Yeah, actually, he this last year was his first year as the head coach there, I believe.
I can't recall who it is.
Major Applewhite, one of the most fun names in college ball.
He was at he was out west. I think he was not Utah. Maybe
he was at
Utah
Houston.
State?
He was at Houston for a number of years, the head coach there for a little bit.
That's right. Yeah.
I just a heck of a name. That was all. That's all. If his name was Jim Apple, I wouldn't have brought that up. But Major Applewhite is just like Major Lee Applewhite. In fact, it's like his parents were trying to give him a military title.
Yeah, he was going to be a general in 1776. Yeah. Well, what's the difference?
What was Lee Applewhite doing? No, anyway. I'm really happy about the Chungus files. I'm happy to find out where it goes. When do you think, how, I genuinely don't know. When can you make bread with it? Like, when are you in bread territory? I don't know how you turn sourdough starter into enough to make bread either.
This is a very good point. And DFizz also says 100% a character from Clue. Major Applewhite definitely is in Clue. That's a great pull as well.
Excellent call.
I couldn't let that comment go. So yes, really when it comes to sourdough, there's not necessarily a day 7 you can make bread. That's not how it goes. It is whenever your starter is active enough to make bread. And active is you are essentially growing the yeast, right? It is just flour and water, and you are fermenting the flour and water, creating the bacteria to give it the sourdough little tang to it, right? The tangy surprise.
The tangy surprise.
Yeah, you are creating the tangy surprise for your sourdough. So it is ever when your starter is active. So that means when you feed it, when you give it the flour, as I've been doing in these videos, I've been feeding the starter whenever it doubles. So you need it to double, maybe even triple sometimes, right? So really know that it's active and getting after like all of this flour. That's when you know it's ready. And there's there's no set time. There's a lot of different variables about when all the starters can start, like the temperature of your house, what type of flour you're using, what type of water specifically you're using too. I flipped to spring water from tap water because I think, I've seen some videos that say like tap water could have some chemicals in it that could kill the bacteria in it. So spring water has more minerals for the bacteria to feed off of and sort of thrive in that environment. Also has to do the size of the jar, right? The size of the jar, how much you're feeding it. I think it was day 3, I underfed it and it didn't grow very much, and I was very much worried about it, right? I was lighting the chat up about like, did I already mess this up 3 days in? And then I was like, oh no, I just underfed it. It didn't have enough to feed off of. But
is my internet terrible? There have been like 5 comments about my picture as I'm looking at it sending out is crystal clear, but I've noticed sometimes recently where it is not sending out. But I'm seeing Tucker perfectly fine. Tucker's not dropping any frames. Tucker's looking like he's in HD. Is my picture terrible?
Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
What's happening? It looks fine to me, and you look fine to me.
It was right after we came back from break is when it got all messed up.
I have had. Good Lord, yeah. Calvin and Hobbs fan says, Josh looks like he's censored material. Patrick says, Josh didn't pay his internet bill, so they fired it all up for him. Bo says, is Chungus eating Josh's internet? Patrick says, Josh thinks he's out of the 80s to match the vibe of the TV border. Okay, well, at least the show's over, I guess. Does audio sound normal?
Audio sounds, yeah. I mean, look, you're coming through great. It's just the video that's messed up. I don't know why. Do you have another tab open?
No, I just dropped to the 360p here, which now I look like I'm in the face of the sun for some. I don't know why that completely changes how the light works.
That is odd.
Josh is broadcasting from 2005, says Seamus. This is brutal.
It does kind of look like you're shot on like a Motorola Razr right now. It's kind of
yeah, it does. Even on mine, it does. That's bizarre. I don't know why. Hey, are you streaming Star Trek episodes again? Can you stop? No, it's fine. The show's over. I don't know why that's happening. No, my light is just going to stay doubly bright until the very end of... Looks like a David Tennant Doctor Who episode. Now Josh looks like a VHS copy of a public access talk show. Straight up a Pearl Jam, even flow music video. Yeah, Josh looks like he has the Bigfoot filter on. Josh looks like the time that Jazz left Seth in the freezer for 3 days. Can you add unregistered Hypercam 2 to the top left? Josh's resolution is how Isaiah Pacheco sees the field. When Android sends someone with an iPhone a video. Okay, I get it. I know exactly. You all, I know exactly what I look like now, even though it looks fine to me. I will try to troubleshoot that over the course of the weekend. We've had weird Wi-Fi things the last couple days, so I don't know why that's happening. But look, hey, if that's what it takes to bring out the best in the comment section, that's a price well paid. Lily's here on Tucker's side.
She got on the couch. She's standing on the couch. Why are you standing on the couch?
I went to 720p and then it didn't readjust my light settings. So I'm just going to go back to 360 and we'll just end the show in the remaining picture. This really does now, the filter and everything. Maybe this is just what the show looks like better. So I think so. This is how it felt for Tyquan Thornton to be wide open with no connection. Man. All right. Well, hey, look, a funny ending for all you guys. That's good. Sorry my video looked terrible, but I enjoyed reading you all informing me of the very poor state of net connection. I'm going to go sort that out. And then we'll try to have it be clear again by Monday. Maybe it will be. Maybe it won't. Hard to say for sure. You can continue to follow Tucker on socials for more on Chungus. You can listen to that football with him and Matt Verderam for more on the NFL playoffs. Seamus says Josh looks like he's about to go black and white broadcast again. And we'll be back with more of this on Monday. Thanks again to KC Cannabis Company. Please go check out the mystery snail mail art over at bit.ly/mystery snail. And we'll be back on Monday. Till then, bye, Mom. Bye. It's dead, man. I've died. I don't know why this is happening. This is very confusing.
I really just thought... I didn't say anything because I just thought it was going to fix itself because sometimes it, like, just does, you know?
Yeah. And
I thought it was just going to kind of, like, eventually fix itself. And I kind of do that with a lot of things in life, is I just kind of eventually
That's pretty funny, Tucker.
Thank you.
Sorry for the delay in my response there. 74 seconds to actually get your audio, I guess. Maybe it's time for a new webcam and new Wi-Fi and a new computer and a new microphone. If every single person who watched or listened to today's show signs up for the Mystery Snail Mail Art Club, I'll buy a new webcam.
Thank you. I like this comment that says, this is why the Chiefs put him on the radio and not live.
Look, when other people are in charge of the technology, it usually goes better. It also seems like everybody's phone is having problems now. It feels like every group chat feels like the only Weird Games group chat. I've got an iPhone for 2 days. Not even 6 hours.
Yeah, I sometimes have to take, on our big group chat that we have, I sometimes have to take off my home Wi-Fi to get messages in it. And then once I turn off my Wi-Fi, I'll get messages.
I love that things keep getting better and cheaper. Oh, nope, sorry. That's not how it's going. All right, have a good weekend, everybody. Protect your Chungus.